Hey, what's going on, Jimmy Hats? I love to see you. You fell for it. Gotcha. Clickbait. Whatever the hell nonsense excuse you're going to make. I want you to feel comfortable while you're here at Jimmy Hats. I want you to know it's nothing personal. But Jimmy Dore is a self-admitted comedian, and he's a lousy comedian at that. That's not fair. That's my opinion. But Jimmy Dore definitely is a comedian. He's definitely just that, a comedian. He is not a doctor. He is not a political aficionado. He is nothing past just what he claims to be. And a lot of people will hate me for that. A lot of people will come for me and say, Heero, you can't make comments like that and da-da-da this and da-da-da. Hey. I'm only repeating what my man said about himself. That's it, right? So let's call a spade what a spade is, right? But for the amount of people that have been coming at me because I post about Jimmy Dore, you're not doing anything to me because I can handle you guys better than clearly Jimmy Dore can handle a little bit of criticism. Because Jimmy Dore isn't handling his criticism very well. And I want to talk about that. I want to deep dive into this, into my theory that is Jimmy Dore, while vaccinated, is still anti-vax. And he's not being anti-vax for any reason other than, and this might hurt some people's feelings too, to be more like Tucker Carlson. Jimmy Dore secretly wants to be like Tucker Carlson. I honestly believe that. And it might come off as strange. It might come off as weird to say. But when you look at the details and when you really start to examine some of the things that he's saying and doing, it makes perfect sense. But that's the gist of it. That's the overlining proof of it. Jimmy Dore doesn't really believe any of the things he's saying, but he wants to be more like Tucker Carlson and gain the following that Tucker Carlson by feigning ignorance. Because that type of stuff sells. And we want that type of stuff to sell. So let's first talk about what got us here, right? Let's get into it. Don't, if you're going to be a fan of his, but at least be able to think critically. Listen to his opening statement. Just listen to his opening statement.
Again, so I want to start off this video by letting you know, no matter what you hear people say, the Jimmy Dore Show is not anti-vax. We're for the correct rollout of the vaccines, which means you vaccinate the people who are vulnerable, elderly people, people with comorbidities, people who are frontline workers, stuff like that. But you certainly don't vaccinate kids. And if you're afraid,
Jimmy Dore is a fucking idiot. Now we're going to scroll down. This is on Jimmy Dore's page. Read it here. About the Jimmy Dore Show. The Jimmy Dore Show is a hilarious, irreverent take on news, politics, and culture featuring Jimmy Dore, a professional stand-up comedian, author, and podcaster. He is not a doctor. He is not even in the science community. He has no jurisdiction on any communication other than just regurgitating his thoughts and ideas, which he's allowed to do. This show is also broadcast on Pacific Radio Network stations, blah, blah, blah. But he's a self-admitted. He has no degrees. He has no prevalent knowledge on the matter. It's him saying it. It's him. Scroll to the bottom of his fucking video. Stop adding me, people. But listen to the things that he's saying. Listen to the things that he's saying in order to get you to feel some type of way. And let me just stop him there. Kids do get vaccinated, you idiot. Polio, smallpox, MMR. COVID is killing kids. Why wouldn't they get vaccinated against that? So he doesn't understand what he's saying. He's talking with his feelings, and that makes him insane in this situation. But he had to say this. Don't let what people are saying about me discourage you. No, he's a madman. He's a madman.
Of getting the vaccine. I mean, if you're afraid of COVID, you should get it. Okay.
Keep in mind,
COVID.
he's vaccinated. That's the key thing to remember. He just sowed all that doubt. He's vaccinated. Was he afraid? No, he got it because his doctor told him to. A doctor he trusts.
19 researcher blows the whistle on data integrity issues in Pfizer's vaccine trial. Well, you knew this was coming, right? Because the big pharma are the biggest liars, scammers, criminals in the country. And so you knew they were had to do some shady stuff around these vaccines. And of course they did. A regional director who was employed, this is by the British Medical Journal, a regional director who was employed at the regional organization Ventavia Research Group has told the BMJ that the company falsified data, unblinded patients, meaning in a double-blind study, they were able to know what they were getting, employed inadequately trained vaccinators, and was slow to follow up on adverse events reported in Pfizer's pivotal phase 3 trial. Slow to follow up on adverse events. So that's another thing people don't want you to talk about. When I got injured by the jab, I told people on Twitter, and people called me a liar. People called me a grifter. People called me all that. It's just, that's not how science works. You're supposed to have people tell you their adverse reactions so you can make the vaccine safer. If you want people to shut...
The thing that's maddening about this is, why is this surprising?
Shut up about their adverse reactions to the vaccine. You know what that makes you? That makes you part of a cover-up.
No, it doesn't. When you will not let go of the fact that you had a sore arm and you have old aching bones and you have a stiff neck, when you won't shut up about that fact, but refuse to acknowledge that maybe you have a poor diet, maybe you don't exercise enough, maybe you're just old as fuck, and that's what getting old is all about. When you just hang on to that shit, then yeah, we get to tell you to shut the fuck up. Like, we get it. We heard you the first time, Jimmy. Your ouchie hurts. We get it. But did you die of COVID? No? Shut the fuck up then. You are getting in the way of what we like to call progress. Jimmy Dore is a hypocrite because he took the jab and he's sowing doubt so that you don't protect yourself, all for the clout. Jimmy, shut the fuck up and get the hell out the way, man. You have become the biggest barricade in the progressive movement because you're not really progressive. You're just here for the hype. And what do I mean? Because now he's telling you, don't get the vaccine. Don't vaccinate your kids. Jimmy Dore, this you 10 months ago? Out of touch, COVID vaccine big pharma profits were paying for. When we were rushing to get this stuff made so that we could stop people from getting hit. When COVID-19 numbers were blowing through the roof. When COVID-19 was blowing through the roof, what about when they were talking about the elites getting the shots before nurses? When you were just so thirsty to make sure, we got to make sure the frontline workers get it first. We got to make sure everyone gets it. If we want to stop this, let's get the vaccine for free. This was you 1 year ago, my guy. These are your videos. Shocking new COVID numbers. It's just crazy to me how much shit changed, almost as if it changed because the marketing did too, right? The marketing changed. It was back then, it was advantageous to make sure that Jimmy was talking about COVID and getting it to the right people. Now, not so much. Because there seems to be a bigger vocal minority on the internet that says, oh, no, I don't want to take the vaccine. And Jimmy sees that and he sees profits. So he's going to go talk to those people now. That's the people he wants to talk to now. This is his grift. He follows the algorithm. It's right here. And this is why I can make fun of Jimmy. Because I have an algorithm watcher. When he was talking about these things, that's when it was most ample. But Jimmy's going to tell you not to talk about him. Let's let him finish. He's going to tell you, don't do what he just did. He's riding the coattail of what's the most popular thing to do right now. He's going to tell you not to do it.
That's what that is. Now, you still think Jimmy Dore is lying to you?
Yes.
You still think Jimmy Dore is the problem here?
Yes.
If you were going to make a video today about COVID, would it be about Jimmy Dore?
Yes.
Or would it be about this? Or would it be about Fauci? Or would it be about that we all now know everyone's going to get it? Would it be about any of that? Or would
Yes.
it be about...
It would actually be about all that minus Fauci. Let's talk about this lady. Oh, fact checks. What? Remember, Jimmy's a comedian. He's not a journalist. He's not a scientist. He's not a reputable news source. He's a fucking comedian. Let's talk to some news people that have the word broadcast in
the
their
British
name.
Medical Journal story. Some participant identities have been revealed because paperwork may have been left out in the open. Other concerns include not storing the vaccine at the right temperature and incorrectly labeling some specimens.
Tonight, CBS 17 digital reporter Jody McCrary is fact-checking it to explain why it shouldn't make you any less confident in the vaccines.
A UNC expert on clinical trials says we shouldn't make too much out of the results from one site because we have so much more data now from the real world.
So I think that could be an unnecessary focus and anxiety about this breaking story.
The report in the British...
Unnecessary focus and anxiety. Almost as if what I've been saying since the beginning, he just wants to sow doubt. Because yes, this vaccine came out fast, but did it have the support of hundreds of countries and hundreds of scientists for the first time in their lives ever combining research in order to make sure that the world has access to this? Yeah. We're storing it in different temperatures an issue. Remember when they said we had to have it in super freezers and now we can leave it out for 2-3 hours? It's almost as if these issues he's complaining about don't matter. So why are you talking about it, Jimmy? If it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, why are you talking about it? Because remember, Jimmy's a comedian. And based on what Keisha just told me, he's not funny. He's also vaccinated. So why are you sowing doubt? Jimmy Dore is a walking contradiction with the fan base. Don't be deceived by this.
British Medical Journal lays out those issues raised by a now former employee of Ventavia. That company was under contract to help with Pfizer's phase 3 trials, raising questions about the integrity of the numbers.
And this is something normal that they do. A company who needs to come up with a cure they don't just work from one office. They'll buy up every lab in the fucking vicinity, in the country, and put them all on the same task. And you mean to tell me one lab out of the 400,000 labs in the world made a boo-boo, and Jimmy Dore made it an effort to find that one bad lab? And we're shocked. We're surprised. Okay, we just won't use that lab's data. What about the data that has been proven? You don't hear Jimmy talking about that shit. What about the proven fact that since this vaccine has come out, the COVID number deaths have declined drastically? How about the proven fact that people who have the vaccine aren't dying in hospitals at the same rate of people who don't have it? Jimmy Dore talked at the beginning of the show about people who are going to make a video about today, but he didn't make a video about positively enforcing the fact that vaccines save lives. Because that's what they do.
What was this process like? You know, was this good data?
I reached out to Ventavia, but a spokeswoman didn't respond. But it does raise a key question. Should this change how you feel about the vaccines themselves? UNC professor Jill Fisher says no.
And I don't think that's necessarily a fair narrative.
The full trial included 44,000 people at 153 sites.
Boom.
Only 1,000 were involved with Ventavia at its 3 sites.
If all of
And Jimmy Dore's not going to tell you that. That's the news. That's the news telling us the truth. That's the news telling us the truth. But Jimmy Dore didn't tell y'all that. He didn't tell y'all that.
Me, because you're jealous and you're riding my dick for clicks.
Smooth.
Ventavia fired her later that same day. I wonder which YouTube lefty shows are going to cover this and which ones aren't.
The identity booth. What's up? We just went through all of this.
Children who have less risk of death from COVID than they do from the influenza.
And Jimmy is, and this is a dangerous thing he's saying right here. Less than influenza. The less than influenza. Are you kidding me? The only reason why kids weren't exposed to this at the same rate is because we actually did something for the kids and took them out of school. You think if kids weren't at school with the mask on or with the vaccine on board, they wouldn't be dropping like flies? You don't think a variant could be made just to take kids out? Because that's what the Delta just did to a group of people who thought they were above the law. Viruses don't care about your feelings, bro. But a lot of people are going to, like, this is going to be the cornerstone of this episode for me. Jimmy Dore versus Tucker Carlson. This is Tucker Carlson, the meme face, the most confused, dumb person I've ever met, and Jimmy Dore on the same panel. And they're talking about, I don't believe this is related to COVID, but let me give you some things that these two people have in common. They're both vaccinated. They both sow doubt about getting vaccinated. They're both white. They both have a cult following. I just threw white in there for fun. It's not even in my script. They both have a cult following online, and they both have a vested interest in getting uneducated people to nod their heads politely.
The conversation on the left revolves almost exclusively around identity, which is, in other words, me. Narcissism is about me. Yeah, but you kept talking about economics. That used to be the central conversation on the left, or in America, actually.
Yeah.
Why no more?
Because the establishment has learned how to co-opt identity politics to put the brakes on economic progress and justice.
Jimmy Dore is a comedian. Jimmy Dore is a comedian talking about economics of our government parties. And I'm not saying he doesn't have the right to speak on this, but why is he the aficionado? Why is he the person that Tucker Carlson chooses to debate on this? Why not bring on AOC? Why not bring on somebody with the reputable source? Why not bring on an economic specialist? Someone who has a master's degree, bachelor's degree in it, PhD.
So the joke I do, so if you want to help, I would say if you want to help black people, nothing would help them more than free college, student loan relief, and Medicare for all, and a living wage.
Notice how he didn't say anything there about reparations. Because free college, what the fuck does that mean? Go to institutions that you pick for us. Living wage, I don't think everyone should get that. We're not looking for equality. We're looking for equity. Jimmy Dore just said something about a group of demographics he doesn't represent without any context or understanding on a right-leaning show where he's being interviewed by a dude named Tucker Carlson.
You want to help them? That would be the way to help them. But
how about giving us a tax credit for the next 10 years?
Joe Biden comes in, does none of those things, but he makes Juneteenth a holiday. So do you understand?
So do you not want Juneteenth to be a holiday? Is that what you're mad about? Juneteenth being a holiday? And furthermore, why are you mad at Joe Biden about that? That was something they voted on in Congress. Furthermore, Congress is also those people that are going to be responsible for doing things for black people in general, like giving us money, helping us out with this and helping us out with that. But without missing a beat, he's willing to point the finger at Joe Biden without acknowledging that no one on the right even votes in favor of positive reform for anybody. He's literally selling the Democratic Party out to be liked by Tucker Carlson right now.
Understand what I'm talking about?
Oh, I do understand.
So it's all signals, but there's no substance. We're signaling that we want to help the minority community, but we're not actually helping them. So that's what identity politics is. It's a big diversion. And the joke I say, you know, if it was 1860, the Democrats would be bragging about their first transgendered slave owner. And so what I'm trying to tell people is that when you vote for them, when you vote for somebody inside the Democratic Party, no matter what they say, no matter what they believe, they're going to go along with Nancy Pelosi. And Nancy Pelosi goes along with Goldman Sachs and Raytheon. So when you're voting for someone inside the Democratic Party, you're voting for Goldman Sachs and Raytheon because they are not standing.
What is he talking about? Okay, let's get money out of politics. But that includes everybody, you idiot. Okay, so if Nancy Pelosi doesn't take money from Raytheon and fucking Goldman Sachs, does that make everything better? Let's talk about the bigger issue. What are you doing about it? In this conversation, you're not even talking about the bigger issue.
Standing up to those people. So the idea that we have progressives inside the Democratic Party, it's actually more deleterious to the progressive movement to have them there. Why is that, Jimmy? Because it gives people a false impression that there's somebody in government fighting for you, that there's one of the parties that are kind of on your side, and they aren't. And the quicker people realize that both parties are not on their side, they only serve the oligarchy, we are in fact in an oligarchy.
This is the only thing smart thing he's said so far.
Your democracy was stolen way before Trump. Until that happens, we won't ever have real change.
But what about Ocasio-Cortez? She's on Instagram.
Ocasio-Cortez campaigned on a floor vote on Medicare for all. And she campaigned on creating what she called a ruckus, meaning you have to stop being polite. This is a quote. You have to stop being polite. We tried being polite, and it got us nowhere. And it wasn't until we started acting out and speaking impolitely that we even created the circumstances for change. That's what she tweeted. So I'm just doing what she said. So I started to put heat on people like AOC and Rashid Tlaib and Ro Khanna.
Why not put it on Nancy Pelosi? Why not put it on Joe Biden? Why not put it on Kristen Sinema? Why not put it on Joe Manchin? Why not put it on a Republican? Why not put it on people who actually need the pressure? This is too easy, guys. Come on.
And all the Justice Democrats in the squad to force the vote, and they said I was.
And the force to vote failed. Hey, you want to know who he did? He did put his pressure on? Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard. How's she do in the election? Oh, that's right. She didn't even register on the Richter scale.
Committing violence against them with my words. That's how scared they got.
Were you?
That's how scared. You really telling them?
Look at how much he wants to be liked by this guy. Look how much he wants to be like Tucker Carlson. Could you imagine wanting to be liked by Tucker Carlson? This balloon head ass motherfucker.
To do what they ran on, that's violence. That's how afraid they were. And all the things. So they had people write hit pieces on me in the New York Magazine, Newsweek, BuzzFeed. They tried to shut me down and squelch me. They made me trend on Twitter negatively. But they couldn't shut me up. And they couldn't stop me. And they don't know what to do with me. Because again, all the usual, they have Wikipedia putting smears on me that I can't get rid of. CNN's calling me. It's unbelievable what's going on. Just a comedian, a pothead comedian in his garage, what you can do when you want to tell the truth inside.
And I think that's the best way to leave it. A pothead smoking comedian. All those things together aren't wrong, but when he starts to say false things, make false statements, and genuinely speaks out of his ass without a firm understanding of science, the political nature of what he's saying, and also completely understanding what he's doing as malice, you can't root for people like this. You have to call him out as a bad actor. He is. Period. Like, Jimmy Dore fans, I hear you guys in the comment section. He's vaccinated. How can he be anti-vax? Have you ever heard of the word hypocrisy? Have you ever seen a hypocrite? Let's put Jimmy Dore as a definition. Just remember, he told you with his own words, he's a pothead ass comedian. So why are you going to him for medical advice? Do you think Jimmy Dore could find a cure for any disease? Come on, people. But hey, that's the show. That's my take on it. I'm even interested. I'm super eager to hear what you guys have to say about this.
We could catch the vibe, but it's so hard to find through the daily grind. We're working overtime, and I'm sleep deprived. Shorty on my line, and we fuss and fight. Seems like every night. Don't care who's wrong or right. I hope the end is sight. Slow